and Pro Football Hall of Famer. There is nothing more important than your health. That's why I made the smart move to invest in fitness equipment with Fitness Gallery. It's a game changer.
This February, save 25% off all primetime functional trainers, home gyms, and racks. Work out on your schedule on the equipment you choose from the safety and comfort of your own home. Save up to 50% off on select premium equipment. Visit one of Fitness Gallery's 7 convenient locations from Colorado Springs to Fort Collins.
Hey, it's Mike Evans. Restore your bald spot, reverse your receding hairline, or add volume to thinning hair with the same simple one-day treatment I receive from Dr. Tanya Pauls of Advanced Hair. Your own natural hair begins regrowing the very next day, and your new hair is guaranteed to grow. Advanced Hair has changed tens of thousands of lives, including mine. For your free consultation, $250 off and 250 free hair grafts, call 720-459-HAIR, advancedhair.com.
It's time to take care of you. Who better to help you do that than the top voices in well-being on Audible? Sign up for a 30-day trial at audible.com/wellbeing.
KKFN and KKFN HD1 Longmont, Denver.
You're listening to Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan. Welcome to Denver Sports Tonight, taking a look at the biggest stories in Denver sports from your online home for the best opinions and information on the Broncos, Nuggets, Avalanche, Rockies, and more. DenverSports.com.
It is Denver Sports Tonight right here on Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan. I am Anilo Piro hanging out with you for the next 59 minutes or so, and we've got Just Dante behind the glass.
What up, AP? How you doing?
I need to apologize to you. I did not mean that as a jab today. Let me try to rationalize my thought process when I said Just Dante. For those of you that are just tuning into the show or didn't hear the end of the drive, I sat in with Zach and Phil for their final segment, and Zach's like, who you working with tonight? I'm like, oh, just Dante. And the reason I said that is because it's usually a two-man show with Dante. Like, Dante is consistently a figure on the program. Like, it's usually Will and I. Sometimes it's Cello and I, right? Sometimes it's James and I or Jake and I. You're always a constant figure on the program, which is why I said just Dante. I didn't mean it as like, oh my gosh, like it's just Dante. It's just, you're always here.
You don't need to apologize. You're all good. I was more making a joke. Will Peterson made the same comment, I think, like 2 months ago, and I ripped him for it too. So it's more of just a little playful joke.
And you got to think like Will, there might be some malicious intent behind those words from him.
Oh, right. So his is malicious,
Maybe.
Yours is fun.
Know me. I know you know Will probably pretty well, but like you and I don't think you know. Like, I would never say anything like that to tick you off necessarily.
No, I know, and that's why I was.
Like, I've always looked at you and I as on equal ground.
Yes,
I'll put it that way. So, AP and Just Dante here tonight on the program. Good times. We're gonna have a good show lined up for you tonight. The Denver Nuggets back in action. We'll kind of preview their game tonight against the Los Angeles Clippers towards the end of the program, and also just the second half of the season in general. We'll also do a little Olympic hockey. I have a question I posed to Dante before we got started. Let's assume the U.S., the Stars and the Stripes, are going to play against Team Canada in the gold medal match. And we've had these scenarios before, right, in the Four Nations. It's not uncommon, WBC, World Cup to a certain extent in soccer. But how do you root if you're an American? You want to support USA, but the player of the team in which you root for, that being the Avalanche, so we're talking McKinnon, we're talking McCarr, we're talking Taves. How do you root accordingly in that game if McKinnon scores a goal against the Stars and the Stripes? We'll talk about that a little bit later on in the program as well. But I want to start with a bit of general NBA conversation here, and please feel free to chime in on the RamosLaw.com text line 303-713-1043. And I had a good conversation yesterday I filled in for Josh Dover alongside Cecil Lammy about tanking in sports, more so in particular tanking in the NBA. And as I dropped my dear mother off at the airport today while also battling a migraine, which is fun, I got this tweet came across my timeline from Shams Charania talking about how Commissioner Adam Silver has informed the league's 30 general managers on Thursday that the NBA plans to make anti-tanking rule changes for next season. He also adds stakeholders have intensified dialogue about combating tanking. And then Shams follows up in a quote tweet here. He says, multiple sources with knowledge of Thursday's GM meeting as well as late January's competition committee meeting told ESPN that the following concepts have been discussed to curb tanking. We got a few bullet points that we'll go through here. Let's kind of go one by one, Dante. Let's give it a yay or a nay. Is this something we're into or not? And because there is a handful here, and again, the thought is curbing tanking in the NBA. So the first
real quick, before you get into the list, I want to ask you, what are your thoughts on tanking in general in the NBA? Do you think it's a big issue that they're facing? Do you think it's actually hurting the league? Or do you think it's something that's always kind of been there and now it's just kind of coming to light?
I think it's kind of inevitable, if I'm being honest with you. And the thing that I said to Cecil yesterday is I think the concept, I'm not saying the full-fledged tankathon that we've seen in the NBA the last decade or so, but the concept I actually think started with Greg Popovich and the San Antonio Spurs. I feel like he was the one that introduced the load management day. And there's that old saying, give an inch, take a mile. And I feel like we're like, teams around the league, we're like, okay, we could rest our stars, right? We give these guys names or days off. And then you also factor in the inherent value of just losing more games to boost the probability of you getting a higher pick. So that's kind of the genesis of it. I do think it's a problem. I think it's a problem because what the Utah Jazz have been doing specifically this season is a slap in the face of professional sports and professionalism as a whole. Playing starters for 3 quarters, being in these games, and then yanking them in the fourth, which I understand. I understand the method to the madness. I don't think Utah is necessarily doing anything wrong, but that's why I think you might have to curb the rules to prevent that slap in the face to the athletic nature of the game.
Yeah, I don't see it as big of an issue with it just because if I'm owning a franchise or I'm running a franchise, you want to do what's best for that franchise.
Right.
And I think tanking in a lot of these situations makes sense. The Jazz aren't competing for the playoffs. They're not going to go on and win an NBA championship this year, even if they were going full effort throughout the entire year. So mine is, and I get that's not in the spirit of the game, but it really truly is what's best for that individual franchise at this moment. Go out and get a Caleb Wilson from UNC. Go out and get a Darren Peterson from Kansas. That's the kind of player that can transform your franchise. And I think the reason we see it in the NBA versus some of these other sports is in the NBA, you need a top 10 player in the NBA or else you're not going to win a championship.
Look at Detroit. Right? Like they were down and out. They get the number 1 overall pick. They get Cade Cunningham, and now they're one of, if not the best team in the Eastern Conference. And so I agree with you. If I'm a GM and my team's no good, I'm probably tanking as well. It's less about the idea of tanking. It's more so the incentives to tank. Because if you're Adam Silver, you can't sit back there and say entering into every season, there's 6, 8, 10 teams that have no chance, so all they're going to do is tank. You need to figure out a way to get a little bit more competitive balance, I think, across the board in the league. And I would say the same thing with the Dodgers as it pertains to Major League Baseball. Everyone wants to go crazy about the Dodgers because they signed Edwin Diaz and they signed Kyle Tucker and they signed Shohei Ohtani with the deferments on the dollar amount. It annoys me, but they're not breaking any rules. Game is game. They're playing within the construct of the game and the rules, so I can't hate on that, but that's where I think it's up to the leagues and the commissioners in particular to try to fix this thing. I think I speak for just about everybody that we more competitive basketball, more competitive sports on a night in and night out basis where the incentive to lose games is not as ever present as it currently is, I think would be a good thing. Fair or unfair?
No, I think that's fair, and that's what you see mostly in the NFL, and the NFL is obviously king in terms of sports, and that's a sport where you see teams go from worst to first within their division. You see a lot of turnover from year to year in terms of who's making the playoffs. I don't think you see that as much in the NBA because you're either in a window of competing or you're not in a window of competing. Fair. And those windows last a lot longer in basketball compared to some of these other sports. So I get that it's a problem, but I just don't see, I don't know, it doesn't ruin the product of basketball for me in any way. I'm still excited to watch the Nuggets on a nightly basis. I don't care if they're facing a Wizards team that the Wizards actually did make some trades and are trying to make some moves here to be more competitive. But I don't care if they're facing the Jazz and obviously it's great when they're facing the Thunder or the Spurs or the Minnesota Timberwolves, but it's not ruining the sport for me by any measure.
Fair. And I know the NBA is not everybody's cup of tea, right? I know there's a lot of people that grew up NBA fans in the Magic and Bird era, the Jordan era, and kind of have tapered off as their lives have progressed. I don't know why that might be. Obviously, I was not necessarily around for those eras, but I still find myself gravitating towards all of the major sports. I still enjoy watching the NBA. I like watching, of course, the NFL. Major League Baseball is arguably my favorite sport to watch on a season in, season out basis, and I love messing around with the hockey too. So let's get to some of these specific concepts that have been discussed to curb tanking, and of course this is from Shams Charania. And some of these actually I think would follow in what baseball has done with respect to the draft. The first one that comes up here, Dante, is first-round picks can be protected only top 4 or top 14 plus. I don't know what the top 14 plus is, but I think it's incentivizing when you make pick swaps and trades and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think that would... I'm sorry, repeat it one more time. I just want to make sure I fully understood the
first-round picks
top
can
18.
be protected only top 4 or top 14 plus. So I think what they're saying is picks that fall between 5 and 13 cannot be protected.
Okay, I do.
That's
like
how
that.
I'm interpreting.
Yes, no, that's how I'm interpreting it too. I just wanted to make sure I heard it right. I think that's smart, and I think that it would maybe defer some of these teams from trading away picks and having, it's top 8 protected. So that way, if it's still a top 8 pick, we're going to be able to choose that player. I think that it would make it would de-incentivize teams from trading away their great players for just a bunch of first-round picks. I think that could help with that. It's interesting. I would say, I don't know if it's going to change the league and change teams' ideas of tanking, but I think it's interesting.
Yeah, that's probably one of the more least interesting ones on this list, but I can understand where they're coming from. Here's an interesting one. Lottery odds freeze at the trade deadline or a later date. So that's essentially saying when you get to the trade deadline, which just passed a couple of weeks ago, that where you're at in the standings there is where you're going to be at with respect to your chances and odds in the lottery.
I think that's just changing when teams are tanking. Instead of doing it all at the end of the
agree.
year, they're just going to do it at the beginning of the year.
I agree.
Maybe it'll make the second half of the year a little bit more competitive because at that point there's no reason to tank, but it just feels like the same issue. You're just rearranging the calendar.
Yeah, just moving the goalpost a little bit, right? So I don't think that one would necessarily change anything. Here's one that I think is interesting. And the Rockies, I believe Major League Baseball has a similar, I guess you could call it, penalty in place. Because I know the Rockies were supposed to have a top pick and they didn't because they've had so many top picks in the last few years. No longer allowing a team to pick top 4 in consecutive years and or after consecutive bottom 3 finishes. So incentivizing teams in theory to not be a bottom 3 bottom feeder and have to improve year over year, which I also think comes in the form of not only being more aggressive in the draft, but more aggressive in free agency and more aggressive in trades.
I don't love this one as much because some of these bad franchises need those early picks, and you can point to the Rockies for a very good example of that. They earned a top pick based on how bad they were the last couple of years, and the fact that they're not able to reap the benefits of that, I think is kind of counterproductive to what the draft is all about. It's about helping the teams that are worse at X sport. Hopefully they are able to rebound with getting better players in their organization, in their building. So to me, that seems just a little counterproductive to what the whole point of the draft is. If you're bad, you deserve to have those high picks. And guess what? If you're tanking for 3 to 4...
But you deserve to have them because you're purposefully being that bad?
But guess what? If you're bad for 3 to 4 years, fans aren't going to put up with that. We see empty buildings all the time.
True.
If you're bad for a year, I think fans can put up with that. But if you're bad for a 3 to 4 year window, I that's when you get the bags on your head. That's when you get empty stadiums. That's when you're selling tickets in the lower bowls, like $20 to get in the building. So I think that if you're bad for that long, it's hurting the franchise regardless. I don't think you need to hurt them anymore by not giving them a top pick. Then are they ever supposed to get out of the situation they're in?
Yeah, I remember the pre-Jokic days for the Nuggets, man. I mean, I used to be able to sit lower bowl with my buddies after school for like $11. It was glorious because I got to see good basketball or, NBA level basketball, professional level basketball on the low. Those same tickets now are probably going for $150, $200, right? So I've lived and breathed that. And give me what the Nuggets are now, 10 times out of 10 compared to what they were. Obviously, that's not rocket science to anybody out there, but it is an interesting thought. A couple of more here, and then we'll talk some Denver Nuggets in particular. Lottery odds allocated based on 2-year records, and lottery extended to include all play-in teams. Again, I don't know if any of these are moving the needle.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to change a team's decision to tank or not tank because 2 years, then it's like, oh, wow, if we tank for 2 years, we have really good odds at getting a top pick in the following year. So I just don't think that de-incentivizes teams tanking. I don't think that would move the needle by any means.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. The final one on this list is flatten odds for all lottery teams. I think this one is kind of a blanket. And again, as opposed to a race to the bottom to be the worst team, you're essentially saying, because how many picks are in the lottery? 10, right? I believe it is. Maybe a little bit more.
I think it's every team that doesn't make the playoffs. So I think it's maybe 14.
14, right. So you're saying the team with the 14th worst record has the same odds to make the number one overall pick as the team with the least worst, or the worst record in general. But also my counter to that would be, look what happened to Dallas. I mean, Dallas should not have had the number one overall pick last year. They weren't a very good team, but not nearly as bad as Utah, who's kind of leading the charge here with the NBA and the tanking. And there's also this other conspiracy theory, if you want to put the tinfoil hat on, that the NBA lottery's rigged to begin with.
Yeah, I hate this one the most, because if I have teams tanking, I want them to tank and be the worst. I don't want a team that's in the play-in tournament that wants to lose a game. That's just crazy. That would actually ruin the product of basketball for me. If I'm watching a game that matters, and in terms of the winning team goes to the playoffs and the losing team's in the lottery, and a team wants to lose that game, that's just a terrible product of basketball in a very meaningful game. And I hate that rule. I think that actually would make the league worse.
Yeah, I'm probably with you as well. I don't think any of these necessarily move the needle, and I think it begs the question, is there a way to curb tanking?
I heard a great idea, actually. I don't know, do you want me to pitch to you?
Yes, please.
It was that you kind of get rid of the draft. So players are free agents coming out of college. However, to help the teams that are worse, it's kind of like in baseball or in NFL where money is slotted. So your rookie signing allotted money is based on how bad you are. But that doesn't mean that players are necessarily going to go to those teams. So if you're the Utah Jazz, you have the most money to spend on your incoming class. But if a rookie doesn't want to go to Utah because they're a terribly run franchise.
Ace Bailey kind of did in the last draft.
Exactly. But it's like, hey, this team can offer me the most money, but it's a bad situation. I don't really want to go there, so I can go to a different team for maybe less money. But it's basically free agency for college players. But it's just your allocated money that you're allowed to use on those players is dependent on where you are.
The Utahs of the world, the Charlottes of the world, these smaller market teams are going to hate that, because let's say the Clippers, for example, who I know have picked it up in the last couple of months, but if you have the opportunity to take slightly less money and go build a career in LA, or call it a couple $100,000 more to go play in Charlotte, I would think conventional wisdom, with the way that these players are wired coming out of college, they're going to take the big sexy market. Take Phoenix even, for example, a team that I know is near and dear to your heart, and they're not going to be a lottery team this year. But would you rather play in Phoenix, or would you rather play in Charlotte? Would you rather play in Phoenix, or would you rather play in Minnesota whenever they fall off?
And I think that helps, but I think Minnesota's a good situation. They have a lot of money there. They have a lot of winning going on. They're a well-run organization. They've made Anthony Edwards into a star there. They've had past stars of Kevin Durant. I would even include Kevin Love as a star of Minnesota. So I think it would just make it so these poorly run franchises really have to turn it around. And there would still be players that are going there for the money and would choose money over a successful early part of your career maybe. But I think it would just make it would incentivize these teams to have a better reputation league-wide.
I think that's fair. And look, money at the end of the day tends to move the needle more than anything. I just think the NBA player and the NBA prospect, if you give them the power to choose, which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing, I'm just trying to think the balance aspect of it, and you give an 18-year-old kid the chance to go start his career in LA or go start it in Charlotte.
Well, on top of that, though, what if you're a guy that's like, hey, I want to play 30 minutes a game. I want to score 22 points a game.
You think these guys are like that still?
Yeah, absolutely.
To a certain extent,
you
some
don't
of them are.
You think they want to go get go to the
who's
maybe
the kid from Kansas
example.
that's supposed to be the number one overall pick?
Darren Peterson.
Dude sits out like every other game.
He does.
You're telling me the number one prospect, right? Coming out of not everyone's a Cooper Flag, not everyone's a Victor Wembanyama, so it's not apples to apples completely.
No, but I'm saying that why would you want to go get buried on the depth chart in LA when you can go be a star potentially in Charlotte and you're getting more minutes and more opportunity?
Go
I think
some
of that makes sense.
Go ask Ben Simmons. I mean, this is a guy that after Philadelphia wanted nothing to do with the game of basketball.
Well, he just hated basketball, though.
But I'm saying it feels, I don't know, man. It just sometimes you get around the basketball world and it feels like a lot of these guys are in it for the money as opposed to in it for the game, right? I've always said the love of the game in all of sports seems to be fading to a certain extent. That includes football, baseball, hockey, or maybe not as much hockey, but the big three, if we want to list it that way. it's so much the corporatization of the sports and for-profit nature of it, I think, has watered down the competitive nature of it.
No, and a lot of people point to these players loving the sport, not because they love the sport, but because what the sport can do for them.
Look
they
at
become
Emmanuel
a celebrity.
Mudiay. Look at Emmanuel Mudiay, who the Denver Nuggets drafted, I forget which number it was, top 10 for sure. He had an opportunity out of high school to go play for Larry Brown at SMU. And there's a lot of different reasons as to why Emmanuel Mudiay did not go through with that, but he ends up going to play in China for a year because he, I would imagine, felt like his draft stock was solidified as a top 10, 15 lottery pick, right? And instead of for the love of the game, go play college basketball, try to make an NCAA tournament. No, I'll go play for the Guangdong Tigers for a year, make $1 million change, and then like the priorities.
Well, now these guys are getting paid in
different.
college, though, too.
Right. And
so
I guess that's fair. But point being, I just don't think, like, you and I would love that. If you and I had the opportunity to go play for a blue blood, we would. We would, 100%. For the passion, for everything that comes with playing college basketball.
And I think even afterwards, I think that's really important. And you saw Cooper Flagg and Maluwak back at Duke over the last week at some of their games because it was All-Star break. But these guys love going back to their school. And I love when you see two Kentucky guys in the league meet up for All-Star games.
Booker and Jamal.
Exactly. And they're boys. Or there's a little bit of a rivalry there because they were both at Kentucky. It's like, I should have been playing over you, or I get compared to you a lot because we went to the same school. So I like that these guys have ties to their schools. I wish everybody went and played college basketball. I think it makes the sport better in college and in the NBA.
I don't think there's ever going to be a way to fix tanking clear cut. I don't think there's ever going to be a way to get that intensity that you see in the playoffs over an 82-game season or in the playoffs to match that intensity and replicate it as much as you can over the course of the regular season. But you know what I will tell you, Dante? Maybe it's because I'm a younger guy, but I know plenty of, older fellows, ladies as well. Like my girlfriend loves basketball. She's not an older lady, but point being, when basketball is at its peak, it's hard to beat. And I'm a guy that loves Major League Baseball. I mean, would you rather watch a tightly contested basketball game between the Nuggets and, I don't know, the Clippers like we saw last year in the first round, or what we just watched at the Super Bowl? I mean, these NFL playoffs, what was the best game of the NFL playoffs? Probably Denver-Buffalo?
Whoa. There was a lot of great NFL
there was. And I'm
games.
not.
Rams Seahawks was great. Rams Bears was great. Bears Packers was great.
You're right. I spoke out of turn.
Bills versus Jaguars was great. Rams Panthers was great. This is actually one of the better playoffs.
Yeah, I'm thinking of like the consensus that it's been in prior years. You're right. This has been one of the better playoffs. Eagles, love watching them lose against the Niners. But point being, I just think when basketball's at its peak, it contends and rivals these other sports. I really do.
No, I agree.
And I'll take Major League. Give me a Game 7 in baseball over them all. Let me come out there and say that. I'm not this basketball over everything guy. I like basketball. I enjoy basketball a lot. I probably enjoy it as much as I enjoy the NFL. I think baseball is slightly ahead for me personally just because of my love for the game and my attachment to the game. But point being, like, the gap, right? The gap between a bad NFL game and a good NFL game isn't as wide as a bad basketball game and a good basketball game. That's what I would probably say. And that's what I think the NBA has to figure out.
I don't know if I agree with that.
I could still get into
some pretty bad games we saw in the NFL this year.
I could still get into a 9-3 NFL game.
That's not a bad game. I'm talking about the 41-9s. That's a bad NFL game.
Yeah, but for every 41-9 NFL game, it feels like there's a dozen of those in the NBA. It just feels like, and because the NFL, this is part of what makes the NFL so popular, is the scarcity of the game. You've got 17 of these bad boys all year, plus a couple in the playoffs and maybe a Super Bowl if you're lucky. So every game matters versus a Tuesday night against the Sacramento Kings when they're down and out and you win by 35 doesn't carry as much weight. So I say all of this because I think it's an interesting conversation about the NBA landscape as a whole, but also the sports landscape. And to bring it back to tanking, I don't know if there's a way to fix it necessarily. I don't know if they need to the point that you made. Like, the Utah Jazz aren't doing anything wrong, but it is losing and killing. It's losing viewership and it's killing the sport along the way.
It's not killing the sport. It's killing Utah Jazz basketball games. There's a dozen other basketball games you can watch on any given night.
Fair.
If you want to alienate your own fans, go for it. I think that's bad ownership. And did you see what my guy Matt Ishbia said about it?
I did.
Tanking is tanking is losing behavior done by losers. Yeah. I think that's pretty accurate.
Danny Ainge ain't a loser on the court, though. Danny Ainge delivered a championship playing for the Celtics, won one as an executive, and now he's trying to do the same in Utah.
No, and I agree, and I think this is probably the best step forward for that organization. But if you want to alienate your fans and be terrible for 4 years, be my guest. I don't think that's how you run a very good organization.
I think it worked out for San Antonio. I think it worked out for Denver to a certain extent.
I don't know if those teams were necessarily trying to lose.
I don't know if they were trying to lose either.
Naturally bad.
But they benefited. San Antonio, I think, was trying to lose the year that Wemby was in the lottery. That I believe. So it's interesting. Let us know your thoughts. RamosLaw.com text line 303-713-1043. This is kind of that awkward part of the sports calendar. Look, I could talk football as much as the next guy, but there's not as much meat on the bone necessarily with the Broncos right now. I could break down Evan Ingram being underutilized for the 50th hour this week if you guys would like me to do that, but we'll try to have some fun, do a little sports potpourri here on the program tonight. Mixing a little Broncos, of course. Nuggets season starting up again after the All-Star break tonight against the Los Angeles Clippers. We'll hit on that. But on the other side, let's have this conversation. I think this is one that every single person out there listening to us right now can get involved with. I'm imagining most of you guys are Avalanche fans or support the Avalanche in one sense or the other. Assuming the U.S. and Canada meet up in the gold medal game, how do you root for the team that you're supporting, which I'd imagine for most of us is the United States, versus the players on the other team that play for the NHL team that you live and die with, that being the Avalanche? So we're talking McKinnon, Makar, Taves. Stew on that. Text us in 303-713-1043. We'll hit on that next.
Who should the Broncos target to help fortify their linebacker room?
Devin Lloyd, inside linebacker, Jacksonville. Guy is 27 years old, just entering his prime. First-round pick in 2022. The guy's a playmaker. We need inside linebacker help. This is the guy that you could build around for the next 5 or 6 years and finally maybe have that position solved.
Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Couponing. Wow, you didn't strike me as the coupon type.
Just trying to stay ahead of inflation. Gas, groceries, everything. It's all more expensive. I need to save wherever I can.
Have you tried Upside yet?
Upside? What's that?
It's a free app that I use that pays cash back for every gallon of gas I buy. You've got to buy gas to get around anyway. Might as well get paid for it.
Come on, does that really add up to anything?
I've already made around $200. The extra cash helped pay down my bills, and I even had a little extra left to treat myself.
And the Upside app is free?
Totally free, and the cash back is real. You can transfer the cash right to your bank account.
I'm downloading Upside right now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code ENJOY to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code ENJOY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code ENJOY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
It's game day. Are your moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keeping you from the action? Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, could help you get back to the game. Skyrizi is proven to help people feel significant symptom relief, achieve remission, and visibly improve damage of the intestinal lining. Skyrizi is a prescription injection medicine for adults. Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's or ulcerative colitis.
Control is everything to me.
Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 prescribed biologic in Crohn's and ulcerative colitis combined. Learn more at skyrizi.com or 1-866-SKYRIZI.
Hey guys, your boy Mark Schlereth here. Denver is Truck Month only at Bozarth Chevrolet and Celebration Chevrolet, where every new and pre-owned truck comes with a spray-in bed liner included. That's right, every new truck, every bed protected. Plus, take advantage of deeply incentivized programs on all the new and pre-owned trucks, including the new Silverado and Colorado, with offers designed for their customers to take advantage of. Work harder, play harder, drive smarter. Only at Bozarth Chevrolet and Celebration Chevrolet, your trusted partner in automotive.
Low testosterone can be a real problem for many men. It causes poor sleep patterns, decreased energy, low sex drive, and it makes it really hard to stay in shape. And as we all know, a healthy body is very important to our overall health and well-being. This is Jeff for the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, and if some or all of these symptoms sound like you, we can likely help you be done with low T. We can also help you lose weight, support your metabolism, improve your gains in the gym, and more with our new targeted body composition plans featuring GH peptides, NAD+, GLP-1s, PDA, and more. Our low T protocols, applied in conjunction with our body composition plans, will help most men see real improvements, true weight loss, higher energy, improved sleep, stronger workouts, and a renewed sex drive as well. Your initial visit is just $99 and includes blood work and a medical consult. And if you start on treatment the same day, your visit is free. Call 720-440-7900 or go to RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com.
Featured therapies are compounded and have not been evaluated nor approved by the FDA. Provider prescription required. See website for details.
So, you're ready to propose, huh?
Yeah, man. She's definitely the one.
What are we thinking about the ring? I got my wife's at Hellsberg. I couldn't recommend a better jeweler.
I could use some help with that.
Man, go to Hellsberg. I had no idea how many details you need to consider. Did you know you can get a natural or lab-grown diamond? I didn't. Figure out what she wants. Trust me, they'll make it happen.
Start your story with Hellsberg. Shop in store or at hellsberg.com.
Hi, Dan Cicchini with Dunright. Great pricing options and bank financing? You bet. Kitchens, baths, counters and floors, finished basements, windows and doors. Done right since 1985. You have our word, we'll treat you right at Done Right. Visit drhi.com. Thanks.
HelloFresh makes home cooking nutritious, delicious, and exciting. You excited when you get those freezer-burnt, pre-packaged meals in the mail? I know I'm not. Go to HelloFresh.com to explore plans and menus because nothing hits like home cooking.
Hi, I'm Terrell Davis, two-time world champion and Pro Football Hall of Famer. There is nothing more important than your health. That's why I made the smart move to invest in fitness equipment with Fitness Gallery. It's a game changer.
This February, save 25% off all primetime functional trainers, home gyms, and racks. Work out on your schedule on the equipment you choose from the safety and comfort of your own home. Save up to 50% off on select premium equipment. Visit one of Fitness Gallery's 7 convenient locations from Colorado Springs to Fort Collins.
It's Denver Sports Tonight on Denver Sports Station 104.3 The Fan. Should the Broncos consider trading?
It is Denver Sports Tonight right here on the ever-powerful Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan. Danilo Piro, Dante Gomez hanging with you for the next 30 minutes or so. We'll get to the hockey conversation in just a minute. Want to show you guys some love on the RamosLaw.com text line, 303-713-1043. Got some good response here to the tanking question and segment we just did. You guys were into that one. This one is from Dave in Loveland. Hey, guys, love the B-ball talk. Done with the NFL. Former diehard NBA fan. Attended 10 and 20 games a year in the Eastern Conference. Significantly lost interest over time. Why? No defense, rule changes, too many games, time management BS, culture changes. Maybe even too many teams. I actually think it's less about tanking, and I think some of the points that he brings up here are more valid than anything. I do think it is the lack of defense and the rule changes with travel, steps, palming, and defensive penalties that have turned off more of the traditional NBA fan than anything. You can't play defense the same way you used to back in the day.
I think that's fair, but you see that in the NFL, too. You can't play defense the way they used to, and NFL numbers are spiky.
And I hate it. I could do a whole show about the NFL. I love the NFL. Don't get me wrong. Do not get it twisted. But sometimes I'm like, this is really the impenetrable thing. Like, sometimes the product is not very good. Sometimes I'm a little fatigued of the football. Like, I get fatigued of basketball. I get fatigued of baseball and hockey as well to a certain extent. But, like, to act like the NFL is in a perfect state while the other sports are crumbling, I think is just a joke. But that's beyond the point. But, yeah, we had some good interaction there on the text line. We'll maybe get back to the NBA here with a tanking conversation before the end of the show. But we teased it. I want to talk about it. Let's assume U.S. and Canada are playing in the gold medal match, which I think it would be a shock if that was not the case coming up here on Sunday. By the way, Drew Spivak told me that I believe – who are we playing? Slovenia, I think it is?
Slovakia.
Apparently that game's going to be maybe he was talking about the Canada game, but either the U.S. or the Canada game is going to be at like 6 o'clock in the morning local time, he was telling me.
That would be the Sunday championship.
Oh,
the
the
gold
Sunday
medal.
Okay,
Yes.
so that is like the perfect day, little breakfast beer, right? You know, whatever, chips and salsa, breakfast burrito, whatever you want to do. I love crack of the dawn sports. Like I remember I did that when the U.S. played in the World Cup. A handful of years ago, they had an early morning game, so that'll be fun. But okay, U.S.-Canada in the gold medal match. How do you root for this game? And let me paint this picture for you, because obviously, I would think I want to root for the United States. Like, and I have nothing against Canada necessarily, but I want to see the Stars and the Stripes take down Canada. I'm going to root for my guys, just like I root for the USA in the World Baseball Classic, just like I root for them in the World Cup, despite the fact they don't have as much of a chance. But how does that influence your support of guys like Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar, and Devon Taves? And we got a couple of texts here. Root for the USA. Obviously, that one's from Trent. We got a couple more. Let me find them here. If I can. How is this even a question? You root for USA Hockey, and then you root for the Avs when the NHL comes back. Okay, I understand that. But what happens if it's 1-1, under 2 minutes to go? Canada's got the puck, and Nathan McKinnon snipes a goal past Connor Hellebuck, and Canada wins because of Nathan McKinnon. Like, how do you feel emotionally in that state?
I think that's a tough one, and I think it's probably very individual, up to the specific person about how they're going to feel about that. I don't have a problem if people are rooting for Nathan McKinnon or any of the Canada players. I don't think that's an issue, and I think it's kind of fun to root for them, to be honest. And I know this might get some hate, but it's kind of like rooting for the Dodgers. Like I was rooting for the Dodgers in the World Series last year, where it's, hey, I love Shohei Ohtani, he's great. Mookie Betts, he's great. Freddie Freeman, he's great. Yamamoto on the mound, he's great. It's fun to just root for these kind of superstars when you don't have a true dog in the fight. So I kind of get that. It's fun. Like, hey, even Connor McDavid, who around here maybe is not the most popular guy,
Right.
but it's very cool to see what he can do with a puck and all the amazing things that he can do on the ice. So I get that people want to root for Canada, and especially if you want to root for the Avalanche players, more. I get that even more to a further extent. If you want to root for Cale Makar, if you want to root for Taves, and if you want to root for Nathan McKinnon. So I don't really have a problem with people rooting for either side, but I personally will be rooting for America, and if those guys score, I won't be yelling and cursing them out. It'll be like, dang, that was a really cool play still.
It'll be a bittersweet feeling because I agree with you. And look, I'm not going to sit here and say that I follow the U.S. and the Canadian hockey teams, religiously. Obviously, they only play on those teams, now in the Four Nations and the Olympics. But it's USA till I die. It's USA till it's not. As long as the USA has a chance to win a game, I can't root for Canada. I feel like it's sacrilegious. I feel like it's not in my blood. I was born in America. I love America. I'm going to root for my guys, despite the fact that Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar and Devon Taves are playing for Team Canada. Now, that's where I say it might just be like this little, maybe you can't lose if you want to try to rationalize it that way, because you either win by the USA winning, or if McKinnon and company do it, you got a soft spot in your heart for them. But it is this weird confliction point, again, like Cale Makar rips a goal to win the gold medal game for the for Canada. Like every other scenario where Cale Makar scores a goal, you're thrilled. Are you still thrilled in that scenario?
I think it would still. I think I still would be not that upset if Cale Makar is scoring or if Nathan McKinnon's scoring. I think I would be like, dang, that was really cool, and I'm happy for those guys for going out and achieving their goal of winning a gold medal for their country.
It's a little, and I get it too. Like, I mean, I guess you have to feel that way because they're your guys, right? Like, what's the conversation like between Brock Nelson and Nathan McKinnon once they're back from the Olympics?
I'm sure it's fun. I'm sure
friends,
they're
enemies back to friends.
Yeah, I'm sure they're poking at each other and be like, remember when I got you in that game? I think that it's just friendly competition at that point. I don't think there are any hard feelings about how those players are going to feel towards each other afterwards.
It's strange because, like I said, when I root for a team, like I'm not one of those guys that has two teams, right? And like I got some buddies that were fans of one team. They go to college somewhere. They become fans of the team of the city which they're in now. Yada. I'm a one-team guy. I feel like you have to pick your teams by the time you're a teenager. If you start switching teams, do what you want to do. I'm never going to tell a fan how to fan. It's just that's not my style. And so I feel like if I've got to pick a team, I've got to stick with it. And naturally, I'm not picking Canada, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I'd rather see Sweden have won with Gabe Landeskog than that of Canada, just because there is a bit of a back-and-forth rivalry between these two teams. And I can't compare this to the Miracle on Ice team, not even close, but there is a bit of that competitive atmosphere and that, I don't want to even say bad blood because I think both sides have respect for one another, but I feel like the Canadian hockey player maybe looks down on the United States hockey player.
I think that's fair.
Right? This is their sport. We kick the ball in football. We have a pigskin. Theirs is on the ice with the puck and the skates, so why don't we go stick it to them?
I think that's right, and they are the underdogs. America is the underdogs if those two teams face off against each other. So I'll tell you this, if they do face off against each other, I'll probably have a slew of wagers around the game, and I will be rooting for all of those to hit, but I'll be rooting for USA to win the game ultimately. And to me, it's not that difficult of who I'll be rooting for, but I get if you're a little bit torn, or maybe it's a win-win like you described of, hey, if the Avs, or not the Avs, if Canada wins, I get to be happy for those Avs players, and if USA wins, I get to be happy for my home country.
I don't know if I'd be happy for them, though.
So you would look down upon somebody that was rooting for Canada?
I just don't know. Here's where I'll put it. I forget the exact scenario of the game, but I believe it was a massive moment. May have been a one-run game or somewhere around there. Remember when Shohei Ohtani faced off against Mike Trout, and I believe he struck him out in the last WBC?
It was the very last out of the game, I think.
Right. I like Shohei Ohtani. I was sick to my stomach when Mike Trout
thought it was kind of
out.
cool. As a sports fan, I thought it was just cool that we got that moment.
I see where you're coming from. I wanted Mike Trout pimping that ball to dead center field. That's what I wanted.
See, I don't know. Maybe I just don't have the same kind of patriotic pride as you, but I just hope we get great moments in these games, and I hope we get just awesome goal scorers and guys going, because these are matchups that you never get to see. It truly, you never get to see McKinnon and McDavid on the ice together on a power play, and that's just, you're going to see something that you never imagined in hockey, and it's going to be incredible hockey to watch too. So I think as long as we get a good game, and as long as we get moments like that are above what you normally see in a regular NHL game, I think it's a win for whoever's watching at least.
Yeah, let us know your thoughts. RamosLaw.com text line. One texter says, cursing at Kale for Canada and then cheering him for the Avs is completely normal. Another texter chimes in, they are playing for another team right now. Go Avs. Would you root for McKinnon/McCarr if they were suddenly playing and scoring for another NHL team? It's interesting. I think you can separate the two. When they're not for the Avs, it's,
Yeah, it's not like they're going up against the Avs.
Right. When you're not playing for the Avalanche, when you're playing for the Canadian team, obviously there's a level of respect, but you don't have to root for them. You have to support the Stars and Stripes if you're an American fan. I'm not going to tell a fan how to fan. That's just maybe the rationale behind it. You can maybe have a soft spot, and here's the last thing I'll say, and we'll hit a break. Whether U.S. or Canada wins or loses, I don't think you lose sleep over the outcome like you would if the Avalanche lose a Stanley Cup or a playoff game. Right? I don't think the sting is nearly as strong in the Olympics. The sting isn't as strong in the Olympics as it is in a regular NHL season, MLB, NFL, NBA.
Do you think the players feel the same way?
No. I think
you think the sting might be worse?
I think it's different because I think there's a lot of national pride. It's a different type of sting. Because you want to at least be able to say that you've gone out there and done it for your country at least once, I would imagine, versus your career isn't necessarily built on the national team. That's more a source of pride. Your career and your legacy, I feel like, is more so forged in the NHL. Let us know your thoughts, 303-713-1043. Okay, let's hit our final break. We'll come back. Let's get back to the hardwood here. A little Nikola Jokic conversation, and also the Denver Nuggets back in action now for the first time following the All-Star break. What to expect for tonight's game and also the rest of the season. That's next with Dante and I.
Should the Broncos consider trading one of their starters on defense?
To me, there's two guys for one spot. One guy you took with the 83rd pick in the NFL draft, one guy you took with the 20th pick. Plus, Moss is getting ready to get paid. Barron, you got a ways to go until you have to pay him. I think it's simple. Riley Moss needs to be dealt this offseason.
Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
Right now, save $16 on a pair of Rain-X Rugged XL wiper blades, plus get 2 times O rewards points only at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Power outages are happening more often and lasting longer than ever before. A backup generator is a very smart move, but gas generators, they're loud, heavy, and emit harmful exhaust. The Grid Doctor 3300 solar generator from My Patriot Supply is different. It's portable, silent, and safe to use indoors. And when you order a Grid Doctor 3300 from MyPatriotSupply.com, they'll include over $800 in preparedness supplies absolutely free. Go to mypatriotsupply.com now and get prepared. That's mypatriotsupply.com.
Every business starts with an idea. With smart business buying from Amazon Business, get everything you need to grow in one familiar place. From office supplies to IT essentials and maintenance tools. Ready to bring your visions to life? Learn how at amazonbusiness.com.
Jane Dawson did something smart. She saved hundreds on auto insurance switching to Progressive. With the money she saved, she got herself a pricey bird feeder with an ultra-high-def camera. Should Jane have just bought a regular bird feeder? Yes. Is it hard for her to admire nature when the camera doubles as the bird's potty? Also, yes. But it's Jane's savings, and if she wants to spend her time watching the digestive habits of the white-breasted nuthatch, we say you go, girl. Switch and see if you could save with Progressive and treat yourself. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
This is the story of the one. As an HVAC technician, he and his digital multimeter are in high demand. So when a noisy office HVAC turns out to be a failing blower motor, he doesn't break a sweat. With Grainger's easy-to-use website and product information, he selects the product he needs to keep everything humming right along. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done. This is the story of the one. As an HVAC technician, he and his digital multimeter are in high demand. So when a noisy office HVAC turns out to be a failing blower motor, he doesn't break a sweat. With Grainger's easy-to-use website and product information, he selects the product he needs to keep everything humming right along. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Chick-fil-A's new frosted sodas and floats, it's a 10 out of 10. Hey, this is Lizzie, a team member at my local Chick-fil-A, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich and new frosted sodas and floats is how well they go together. You will love having your favorite soda blended with our creamy ice stream to make a new frosted soda or float. With the mix of the ice stream and soda fizz, it's so delicious, I call it Fizzalicious.
Order a Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich and a new frosted soda and float at your local Chick-fil-A restaurant. Real team member paid for their testimonial.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Ask yourself this question. Is it really worth holding on to that timeshare that you know you need to get rid of? Here's the truth. The average maintenance fee just went up over 17%. That could have been 117%, and there's nothing you can do about it. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check for annual maintenance and assessment fees. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. For 15 years, I've helped over 50,000 families cancel their timeshare. Not sell it, not transfer it, cancel it. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment and your maintenance fees would never go up? That's a lie. Are you ready to get rid of your timeshare once and for all? Simply call us and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit that explains all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your timeshare exit kit.
Hi, Leif Erickson for SnowCountry.com. Prioritize your self-care and switch to Cricket for unlimited plans starting at $35 a month. Smile, you're on Cricket. We're finally getting those powder days that we love so much. It's a case of getting to the mountains any way you can to enjoy the spoils of the snow of the last couple of days and rediscovering that feeling of getting into some fresh powder stashes. At Loveland, we get to sail on 69 powdery runs after about 10 inches of snow over the last couple of days. It was another 4 inches overnight, topping off the trails at Winter Park with 116 runs, and they've seen 10 inches of combined snowfall over the past few days. Aspen Mountain measuring up 19 inches since the start of the week, so a fine time to hit the extensive glades. Ropes dropped on 94 trails at Aspen. Snowmass a 20-inch tally, so more fresh tracks due up with 86 trails. Another couple of inches last night for Cooper, where you've got some fun diamonds like Powder Keg and Blarney's Stone. They'll go on at least 40 runs today. Monarch over 70 powdery runs, including the wilds of their Mirkwood Basin. I'm Leif Erickson.
Stream Stokely and Evans with Mark Schlereth, Dover and Cecil, The Drive, and all your favorite shows on the Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan app. Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan, DenverSports.com, and the Denver Sports app. Denver Sports Station 104.3 The Fan presents Denver Sports Tonight.
Oh, Dante, you're getting a little lit up on this text line for your take right now.
Am I?
Yeah.
Let me read some.
This one, I'll read one of them right here from the 2153. This is from Mike. Comrade Dante, you must root for your own country. I thought it was worse than that when I saw the first thing. We got another one here.
real quick before you keep going, I am rooting for the U.S. to win, but I'm more rooting for just a great game of hockey and an entertaining reason to get up at 6 in the morning.
And let's not lie to the audience. You're not a big hockey guy.
I traditionally am not. I didn't really get into hockey until I moved to Denver, which was about 4 years ago. I watched a handful of Phoenix Coyotes games growing up, but it wasn't.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Pour one out. But it wasn't a major part of my life growing up. So this is the first Winter Olympics that I've watched hockey in. So
good for you.
And I've been loving it. I've watched basically every single game. I've been super locked in. Actually, our resident hockey guy, Drew, has been giving me a lot of props for knowing what I'm talking about when it comes to a lot of these hockey games.
That's a big compliment from Drew.
It is. So he likes to joke that it's because I'm betting on the games, which is probably a portion
whatever
of the
gets you
reason I'm
going.
not locked in, but I'm still been very locked in on these games. So I've had a great time watching the entire tournament, and I'm just rooting for a good finality to a good tournament that's already been.
Fair enough. 8928 says, you act like losing to Canada in hockey doesn't suck. We always want to beat Canada in hockey. It's the most important thing for us in international sports. That's an interesting one. We got another one here from the 6266 from Joey in Denver. Disgusting take. I don't care who it is on the Avalanche. If they score a goal in the gold medal game to beat the United States, we should all be pissed regardless. I'm a huge Avs fan, but I would always root for the USA gold medal against Canada before any Avalanche outcome. Interesting. So you're putting the U.S. national team ahead of that of the Avalanche. That's a separate conversation for another day, but I love the text line being fired up with this one. Some food for thought, right? And hopefully we get to this gold medal game. Obviously, the U.S. and Canada both have to win to clinch that scenario for us on, Sunday morning, I think you said, Dante? And I will be up and at 'em, juiced up for that one. So check me out on social at Media by AP if you want to keep the conversation going and go back and forth if you want to talk a little gold medal game here as well. Okay, to round out the show here, thankfully the Denver Nuggets are back in action here tonight. The Avalanche will be back sooner rather than later as well. But Denver tipping off, I believe, 8:30 p.m. tonight in Los Angeles against the Clippers. Think about this. The last time Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic played any semblance of basketball, I almost said competitive basketball, but the All-Star game was not that, was also in this same building, in the Intuit Dome. So they'll be right back there where Jamal did not perform well in the three-point contest or the game, and Nikola didn't take it serious. We'll kind of break down the second half of the season, or the unofficial second half of the season, rather, in a couple of minutes. But I want to play this bite from Nick Wright that came across my timeline today. And you guys are probably like, Nick Wright, why are you going to give this guy airtime? Why are you going to give this guy run? All this guy does is glaze Mahomes and tear down Jokic. Nick Wright's coming around. And I can't confirm this because not this past season in San Francisco. I was at Radio Row the year prior, and I saw Nick Wright walking on Radio Row or Media Row, whatever you want to call it. I'm like, hey, yo, Nick. Turns around, what's up? I'm like, you got to give Jokic some respect. And he looks at me as he's walking away, kind of shrugs his shoulders. I don't know what else there is to say. He's proven me wrong. Here's what Nick Wright had to say about Jokic all time, where he's at in his career.
And I think this is fair when it comes to all-time rankings. At the ceiling you can be at with one title. There are, like, listen, Wilt, who's, again, not on the list, but would be, only has 2. Dream only has 2. If he gets a second one, then we start having a real Jokic versus the Steph, Shaq, Dream, Bird group. Like, that's where that's the neighborhood in which he lives. But so he right now would be 11. And so again, which 13 was Durant, 14 was Giannis. So those guys would drop to 14, 15.
So he's saying Jokic better than Durant, better than Giannis, 11th best player in NBA history right now, and could be higher if he gets another chip. Talk to me, Dante. I feel like you got some thoughts about KD.
I like Kevin Durant, but I'm with you. I think Jokic has already passed him. I really do. And I think Kevin Durant's the best scorer the NBA has ever seen, but there's a lot more to basketball than just being a scorer.
Yes.
Especially in terms of basketball being the sport where if you're the best player on the floor, you're going to win a lot of games. So winning to me matters a lot. It's not as much as in baseball or basketball or baseball or football or hockey where the best player doesn't always win. In basketball, usually the best player usually wins that game in that series. So I think that Jokic has already passed him with the MVPs, the impact that he has on the floor, the ability to do everything on the court, the championship, obviously leading his team, homegrown championship here in Denver. So I like it. And I think that if you add another championship or maybe even 2 more championships, now we're talking about Jokic being a top 5-6 player of all time.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I wanted to bring that up because if Nick Wright can change, it's kind of like Rocky Balboa at the end of Rocky IV after he beats Drago. You know, if I could change and you can change, everybody could change, right? Nick Wright, I feel like, was one of the leaders of the Jokic hater club for a long time, and he's coming around now. So on top of that, like I mentioned, Denver back in action here tonight, 8:30 p.m. tip-off. They're 35-20 going up against the 26-28. Now, James Hardenless Los Angeles Clippers here. So 27 games remaining for Denver. Look, I'll break it down simply. And I was on with Cecil yesterday, and I was talking about how the vibes are off with this team. I still think this team can go out there and win a championship. I do. They have to get as much runtime with the starting unit back as possible, though. I'm not sure how healthy Aaron Gordon is going to be for the remainder of the season. There's no telling, even if he comes back, when he comes back, rather, I should say, if this doesn't flare up again as we kind of saw last season in the playoffs. You need Payton Watson back. You need Jamal Murray to continue to play at an all-star level. You need Nikola Jokic to stop having lazy turnovers despite his stat sheet being otherworldly. Sharpen up the game a little bit. They also just signed KJ Simpson yesterday, or I guess it was made official today, but the former Colorado Buffalo rounding out the Denver Nuggets roster. They also take care of business with Spencer Jones on the contract front as well. So look, I'm excited for Denver to be back. I'm ready to kind of sink my teeth into some living, breathing sports conversation that involves our local sports teams here. We get that with the Nuggets tonight, the Avalanche shortly after. Spring training is upon us. Congratulations to the U.S. women's hockey team as well, as they claimed the gold medal earlier today. But when it comes to the Nuggets, look, I said the vibe is a little bit off right now. Take a deep breath. Let's not overreact. Let's see them get healthy, get a win tonight, and away we go. Everything is still on the table for the Denver Nuggets. Good stuff tonight, everybody. For Dante Gomez, I am Manilo Piro. Another episode of Denver Sports Tonight in the books.
Tune into The Rundown with Richie Carney every weekday at noon on YouTube, Facebook, or X. Presented in part by The Birdie Bar, Louisville's premier indoor golf bar experience. Check out this week's live music, trivia, and other fantastic events at thebirdie.bar on the web and Instagram. Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
Hoops in Hamilton on the DU campus is intense this season.
And the Denver Pioneers have scored more points than any game in program history.
The threes are flying and the atmosphere is electric. Join us to create a home court advantage as conference play heats up.
Goes down low, feeds Wysocki, up with a two-handed dunk.
Group discounts and one-of-a-kind experiences await. Denver basketball. Get your tickets today at denverpioneers.com.
Hi, I'm Brad Barnett, president and founder of Mountain High Appliance. This President's Day, enjoy huge savings at all of our showrooms. Whether you're replacing a single appliance or planning a full kitchen remodel, we've got you covered. From freezers starting at $199 to complete kitchen packages starting at only $19.99. Plus, save up to $4,200 on select KitchenAid packages. And our price match guarantee means you'll always receive the best pricing. When you think appliances, think Mountain High Appliance.
Mountain High Appliance, your favorite appliance store.
Thank you.
Hey guys, it's Mark Schlereth, and home show season in February is when homeowners make the smartest improvement decision before the demand hits. If windows are in your future, Gravina's Window Center of Littleton offers Infinity by Marvin fiberglass windows built for strength, efficiency, and long-term value. And this February, you'll save 25% plus enjoy